Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Lean Publishing Tip of the Day, where we're going to be talking about inviting yourself onto podcasts as a book author. As usual, I'll just begin a little bit of housekeeping, which is that you can find these videos, these Lean Publishing Tip of the Day live stream videos, recorded forever on our LeanPub channel, on our YouTube channel at LeanPub, and just look for the playlist for the Lean Publishing Tip of the Day. We do these every weekday. You can also find them in our Lean Publishing Daily newsletter, which you can sign up for on our homepage at a banner near the top at leanpub.com. Every one of these videos also includes an accompanying blog post on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. If you go to that page and you don't see this particular article and you want to find the links and stuff like that I talk about in this video, you can just click on the little magnifying glass at the top right there, and you can then search for the keywords that you're seeing in the article in the screen share. And yeah, as always, if you like these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at LeanPub, and sign up to our Lean Publishing Daily newsletter, where in addition to scrolling down and seeing these tips, getting into your inbox every weekday, you will also get see amazing deals on LeanPub best-selling books and new releases and things like that. So one of the features of being a self-published author is that you need to do your own marketing. This is also true of conventionally published authors more and more these days. It's actually been true for quite some time that conventionally published authors, even people who get contract with the big publishing houses, are very disappointed with the amount of marketing work that those big publishing companies do for them. This sort of seems funny from the outside because you only hear about the big famous books and authors, so it seems like everyone who gets a publishing contract must be a big famous book and author with lots of marketing push behind them, but it's not true. So I just say that as a way of saying, don't feel too bad that by being self-published, you've actually got to go out and do the work yourself. Well, basically, that's just a part of being an author nowadays, no matter what. Now, inviting yourself onto podcasts, immediately, if you're an author, you're kind of like split into two kind of types. One is, are you writing fiction or are you writing nonfiction? My view is that it's probably a lot easier to get onto podcasts if you've written a nonfiction book. And that reason is that, if you've written about a subject, a nonfiction subject, a real world subject, as it were, there's probably a bunch of podcasts out there by people who are interested in that subject, podcasting about it all the time. And they're probably going to be at least interested in hearing about you and the book that you've written, and consider having you on their podcast as a guest to talk about your book and what you've written about. So, for example, if you've written a book about like the Raspberry Pi, for example, we've got some books about that on LeanPub. You're probably going to find a lot of Raspberry Pi podcasts out there to get onto. If you've written a book about a programming language, for example, you're probably going to find that relatively easily. Cybersecurity would be another example. There are tons of podcasts about cybersecurity. Now, whenever I give this advice, I mean, this might be just me, but like I always say, start by making a list. I would do it in Excel in a spreadsheet. But if you're thinking, okay, so I've published a book, or I'm lean publishing a book, so I've published the first few chapters or something like that, and I'm ready to go out and start doing some more marketing, you're going to want to find what the podcasts are that you want to be on. And you're not going to want to just find one and invite yourself and find another and invite yourself. You're going to want to make a list. You want to keep track of which ones you've emailed, what the contact method is for contacting that podcast, what the website is for the podcast, maybe some details, things like that. And this will all be in service of what I'll get to next, which is sending a cold email to invite you onto the podcast. But so what you want to do is you want to search, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., for keywords related to your topic that you've written your book about. And then you want to make a list, and you want to get the podcast title, podcast, link to the homepage, podcast contact page, if such a thing exists, names of the host or hosts. And then, start looking for the contact details and things like that. Usually not too hard to find, I don't think. And now you're going to want to get basically as much detail as you can. And over time, when you're making your list, again, it's no pressure. You're just making a list of things to begin with. You'll learn what are the popular podcasts in this area. You'll learn, what are the topics that people write about? What are the styles of the different podcasts and things like that? Are they kind of like three people talking? Are they two people talking? Are they interviews? Are they more like conversations? Things like that. You'll learn all this as you're making your list. a potential podcast. You'll also learn which ones you definitely don't want to appear on, or just they wouldn't be interested in you, because that's not what for this specific book or topic, because that's not what their podcast is about, or who their audience is for that specific one. You'll discover that some people have more than one podcast, so that even if you're not suited to one, you might be suited to another. And yeah, all of this is just sort of building information and making you more comfortable with this space. Now, and one thing you can actually do as well, in addition to just searching, is you can actually use AI for this. It's, you're going to want to check the references and stuff like that. But you can just go into something like ChatGPT and say, "Hi, my name is such and such. I'm the author of the self-published book such and such on the topic XYZ. I want to reach out to invite myself to be on some podcasts. What podcasts would you recommend?" And then you'll get a list of things, some of which will be fake and some of which will be real, but that's actually a useful exercise to spend, an hour doing. Now, so all of this is in service of, now when you're ready, you're now going to be wanting to invite yourself onto podcasts. Now, I say all this because the worst thing you can do when you're cold emailing is to send a kind of template email. People think this is saving time. It's not. You're wasting your time if you're sending template emails to cold emails to invite yourself onto podcasts and things like that. Yeah, it's dead. That's just a bad idea. Don't do it. Podcast hosts know a kind of template. Someone's using some kind of automated way of blasting out 1,000 email invites. They can see it right away. They don't like, I'm just going to speak kind of authoritatively. They don't like it. They don't want to have anything to do with that typically. So you're actually, you think you're saving time by building some system, but you're actually wasting it. What you want to do is you want to do your research. And when you think about it too, appearing on a podcast, you've got to schedule it. Your schedule has to work with the other person's schedule. They have to typically do some preparation, like research. They're going to record it, and it's going to be edited, and then it's going to be on their podcast forever. So it's actually kind of a big deal typically, and what sort of for you to appear even on the most kind of informal podcast. So take your time to do your research, understand the podcast that you're inviting yourself onto, and crucially, write a custom email from soup to nuts. Write the email, a custom email, when you're inviting yourself onto a podcast. You're also going to want to make it clear that you are familiar with their podcast and what they talk about, who the host or hosts are, things like that. And so I've just got a little bit of advice in the post. Keep it relatively short and to the point. Absolutely make sure, like I just said, to customize the email specifically for the recipient, about their show and the person, and make it clear in what you say that you've actually listened to their podcast, at least one episode, one recent relevant episode. Then a typical thing is to give a short list of things you can talk about, which is more or less all in service of showing that you're professional. You understand what things are like from their perspective. This is similar to the advice that we give about approaching journalists with cold emails about your book, and maybe becoming an information source or a quote source for journalists. Showing that you understand what their life is like, what their work is like, is a really important feature of cold emailing. Same thing if you're cold emailing venture capitalists. If you're doing a startup, make it customized. One thing I neglected to mention actually earlier is that one of the ways to build your list of potential podcasts is to look for other authors who've written books on your subject, particularly focus on maybe the best-selling authors who've written, on most influential people who've written books on your subject, because if you can find podcasts they've appeared on recently, that those are podcasts that are interested in authors of books on your subject. So that's a really key thing. Let me just share a tab. If you wonder what it looks like when you've been on a podcast, here's what the LeanPub podcast playlist looks like on YouTube. You can scroll down and see all the various guests, things like that. If you want to invite yourself onto a podcast, you'll typically find that the podcast has a homepage somewhere. Again, not typically, people won't be hard to find. What I will probably do, let me just stop sharing here. What we'll probably do in the future is have another Lean Publishing tip of the day about actually appearing on podcasts, how to prepare for that, what it's like. I've done over 300 feature length full long form interviews, so I know a little bit about what that's like. Um, it's not as hard as it seems, but there is a little bit, of preparation that can help. This sort of advice is less necessary now than it was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, because people are so accustomed to Zoom now. Um, or whatever kind of video conferencing thing that they use, and just appearing on camera, having an okay background, not taking the setup kind of process too seriously, um, things like that. So we might have another blog post about that. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching today's Lean Publishing tip of the day about inviting yourself as a book author onto podcasts. You can find, if you arrived late and you want to see the whole video, you can find it on our YouTube channel at LeanPub. Just look for the playlist for the Lean Publishing tip of the day. You can also find the accompanying blog post on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. If you don't see the blog post right away, just click the magnifying glass at the top. And please, as everyone always says with these things, please like and subscribe. And every time a new person joins our online community, wherever you like or subscribe or follow, you're not only going to help discover new authors and things like that, you're going to help yourself get discovered if you're a LeanPub author, by expanding the audience and increasing our reach. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching this Lean Publishing tip of the day.